is Marlene Vogel saying, welcoming you to the Dusty Baker Lefty O'Doul chapter meeting. And we're going to get started in a minute. I think we've got most of the people here. So I'm going to introduce Bob Krieger first. Tony, unless you want to say something. Okay. So
Nope,
you
sorry, I was trying to get off of mute. No, just our usual spiel. Thank you for coming. As a reminder, we also have a meeting set up a month and a week from now, March 28th. Please go ahead and register for that one. We'll send a reminder. We'll also be sending a reminder. It's not a reminder, but a note later on today, or later this week, once the meeting is recorded and available. And in between speakers, we'll talk a little bit about some book projects that are happening, as well as some ideas for future meetings.
And the meeting next month is going to feature highlights of the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame. And also we'll visit with Leslie Heafy, who many of you know from SABR, who also works with the International Women's Baseball Center. So she's going to bring us up to date on the many exciting things that are happening in women's baseball these days. Okay, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Bob Krieger. I've known Bob for many years. Bob took me, Bob and his brother Kit took me to Cuba many years ago, and it was a trip of a lifetime that actually turned into 3 trips. So Bob and I go back, and I'm delighted that he's willing to join us today. Bob is a cartoonist and an artist out of Vancouver, and he has created a series that he's called Firsts, and he has illustrated the images of the first Negro League players to integrate Major League Baseball. And he's going to tell us a little bit about the background of that project, and we're going to see some of his paintings, and we'll also share a website with you that you can see more of them. Bob, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you, Marley. Thanks everybody for tolerating me. Um, no, it's quite an honor. I guess I should start by saying one of my first memories. I was about 3.5 years old. My brother Kit was listening to the radio of the Vancouver Mounties playing the Phoenix Giants, and stopped in the middle of the game, went to my mother to ask if we were related to the center fielder of the Giants, whose name was Don Tosick. Turns out he was the second cousin of my mom, and that's how I became a Giants fan. Uh, Grew up uh, with Mays, McCovey, and Marichal, and all the disappointments. I was, as Barlene said, I was a career political cartoonist in Vancouver. And about 2007, I got a call from a buddy of mine who's a cartoonist in Halifax, asking if I wanted to take a painting course in Germany, a workshop. And I hadn't painted since college and wasn't very good at it, but uh, wanted to play guitar with him, so I agreed. And it turned out we started going every year. And after I finished painting my family and uh, decided I would paint my favorite baseball players in baseball card format. I thought it'd be cool to have them blown up. And once that became a little old, and I wanted to do something political. So I just finished Clementi's book and painted the 59 tops card of him that said Bob Clementi, and I crossed out Bob and I wrote in his signature Roberto above that, and that was my first political statement in a painting. And I painted Jackie as one of my favorites, and then painted Pumpsy Green, uh, and that became more political. This is rookie card, and I changed the line on it to say that the Red Sox were the last team in baseball to integrate. Uh, and then somewhere along the line, I don't know if it was my brother's idea or my partner's idea or mine, that I would paint all the guys integrated the 16 original teams after Jackie, because I'd read enough to realize that they all went through the same crap that he went through. And while everyone remembers Jackie, nobody remembers the rest. So it was a fun, and my partner suggested I paint them all in order. So I went from first to last to Dobie and so on. After I guess halfway through, uh, COVID hit. I was painting two paintings a year at this workshop in Germany. Then COVID hit, and it coincided with it's right after George Floyd's murder. And all of a sudden, these paintings that I was doing for myself and figured there was nobody who'd be interested in it. All of a sudden, these paintings became a little more relevant. Uh, and I was able, during COVID, I had nothing else to do, and I was able to finish them all. So I, I guess I did very little research on it. My brother provided me with a lot of help in terms of who I should paint. He's I One of the things I did was when I looked at the list of the first guys to integrate, I saw that, and I was aware that John Kennedy was the first of the Phillies, first black player on the Phillies, and but my brother, the kid, had a conversation with Chico Fernandez that maybe he should tell the story. Kid, you still there?
I'm here. Sorry, I'm in calls on Zoom often. I've never had the trouble without the audio, but video rather, but that's good for you. So I knew Chico from when Chico played in the Coast League. I was a clubhouse man in Vancouver from 1967 to 69, visiting clubhouse, and Chico came up with the Tacoma Giant. They were called the Cubs in those days. And I then connected with him again when I started going to Cuba, because he grew up in Havana, and I went to his old house and took some pictures for him. And we talked about his appearance, because he appeared in a game with the Phillies about a week before John Kennedy did. And so the list you usually see is of the first African American in the big leagues, not necessarily the first player of color in the big leagues. The other contested one, of course, is Pittsburgh, that gives Kurt Roberts the title with rightly probably belongs to the old Coast Leaguer Carlos Bernier, who played a year earlier. So when I asked Chico lived in Florida for the last 20 years of his life, and he was quite bitter, in part because he was not recognized as first African American. And he talked about how when he was with the Brooklyn Dodgers and they trained in Vero Beach, he and Jackie and this 1955-56, Charlie Neal, Campanella, Ambrose would all have to stay in private homes rather than stay in the Dodger complex. So he said, I was black enough in 1956. I don't know why I'm not black enough in whatever the year it was we talked. So those were some of the contested areas. Thinking back, I think Bob talked about this morning with me, that probably Carlos Bernier, who I remember seeing play with Hollywood and Salt Lake City, great ball player. That he should have been represented as the Pittsburgh Pirate first player of color.
That's my next painting.
Excellent.
Are you ready to show the paintings, Bob, or are you going to chat some more?
No, anytime you're ready. Now, can you
Okay.
do it at your end, or do you want me to do it on my end?
It's either Tony or you. Tony, do you want to drive the PowerPoint?
I trust you more than I trust me, Tony. Oh, there we go.
I do. Bear with me. Bear with me.
Please.
I just parked and I'm walking to a quiet location, so bear with me.
Hmm.
All right. I'll go on mute. Come on. All right. Let me know if you see it in full screen.
Not yet.
There
Now.
you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. And I'm going to go, I'm going to skip for a second and go on mute. Okay. And then I'll go back to the screen.
Okay, so I'm seeing us on the screen. Okay, great. Can everybody see the slide deck?
Yeah,
Yep.
Yes.
All right, Bob and Kit, it's all yours.
there we go. Okay, so this was the first one I did with Jackie. Um, and the whole idea is I mean I grew up, you loving the colors of baseball uniforms, the logos, uh, and Kit and I played with cards as kids. He would hold a stack of cards in his hand and peel the top card down, and we would guess by the color of the sky or the top of the hat who the next player was, and the winner got to keep the card. He was always better at this stuff than I was, but I could draw better. Uh, so the idea of blowing up baseball cards, the originals are roughly 19 by 30. Uh, I thought it'd be a cool thing to blow up. I enjoyed painting the logos and the fonts, uh, and I, I tried to get as close to the year that they broke in, but I also had a little license. I enjoyed cards that had the logos and more of the uniforms. Uh, and the other thing was that whatever their position was, I made them first. Anyhow, so maybe the next slide, Tony. Or do I do that? No, I guess you have to. There we go. I had a bunch of, I don't know if you guys can see this. Uh, I had some cards made up. We packaged them like this, and uh, they're all, there they go. And on the back of the cards, my partner taught me how to use a program. So I stole the back of a 52 Tops, and Kit wrote the bios on the back of each one. Let's see, there we go. And they're all numbered 1 to 16, depending on the order they broke in. So these are one of the things that I sell. And I altered the cards and stuck in their lifetime stats my and had them printed in Canada instead of the United States. I'm waiting for the Topps trading card company to come and join me from producing these. And next slide, Tony. There's Dobie. I had fun with that. It was a great logo. Uh, it was a fun piece. I think I made him look about 20 years older than he does on the card. One of the things I don't do is I don't put the original cards beside my paintings. I don't want anyone to know just how bad they are. If anyone has any questions, please fire away.
Yeah, put them in the chat or just take yourself off unmute. I can't see everybody if it's a raised hand.
So this is, I couldn't find a card hang on a sec, of Henry Thompson with the Browns. So I created one. Again, just because I love the Browns logo. I couldn't find a lot of photos of them, and this is not my favorite painting, but it was a lot of fun doing everything but the portrait. And then
So
of
I
course,
don't know much about Henry.
he was actually a really good ball player. Kip knows a hell of a lot more than I do, but he was a very good ball player. And then he made up the first part of the first all-black outfield in the major leagues with Mays and Monty Irvin. So he broke in with the Browns and then was the first black player on the Giants.
Oh,
Uh, Ended up in jail, I think, on God, geez, he killed a guy, manslaughter charge, I believe.
wow.
This one I actually painted over twice because I originally did him in a Browns uniform. Then I realized, wait, he broke in with two teams, so I painted it, repainted it as a Giants card.
So you have two of him in the set?
Yeah. The first one with the Browns that I created, and then this one.
Great.
The next one is Sam Jeff. This one was a lot of fun. Just this one's more a different style than most of them. This is kind of more of a folk art style, but I had a good time with it. And Mignoso, another guy that Kit has spoken to over the years. When we took these trips to Cuba, Kit contacted all the players that had played with or against Conrado Marrero, the pitcher for the Senators, and asked them to write letters to Marrero, who was pretty isolated in Cuba. And Kit had several conversations with Minoso over the years. Kit, if you want to talk about
Yeah, I lost my audio for a while, but I would call Marrero every time we came back, and I don't know whether Mark and Marlene were on this trip, but the day that Mignoso died, we were on the way from Havana to a game in Matanzas, which is about a 2.5 hour drive from Havana. I was reading many of the letters. Now, Mignoso had written a letter to Marrero saying, "I couldn't hit you. You always got me out with those sliders. But when I face you next in heaven, I'm going to hit you hard." And I read the letters and got to the ballpark and learned there Mignoso passed away. And he was the greatest offensive player at the time in the 40s, and Marrero was the greatest pitcher. So they had a very close relationship. He's a very I tried to get him to come to Cuba. I said, "You don't," and he had a young son. When he was in his 80s, he had a kid who was probably 20. And I said, "Your son should come and see how much you're revered in Cuba, because as much as you loved Chicago, you're a bigger hero still in Cuba." And I'd heard he hated Castro. He, like many, like Camilo, who I've spoken to, Pascual, they lost a lot of property because of the revolution. And he said, "No, my sister's passed away. There's nobody else there." And so he didn't come. It would have been wonderful to go back to Cuba with Mignoso, a very, very nice man.
Thank you.
Bob Trice of the Phillies, just another fun painting that these were actually, I can't remember if he was on another card, but
I think he's in the 54 and 55 tops only for the Athletics. And he actually was in Ottawa. He came up from Ottawa where I think he won 21 ball games.
Yeah.
And he pitched, wasn't getting enough action. He asked to be sent back down again. Never came back. Good hitter, apparently. Very good hitter.
Yeah. And a decent pitcher on a crappy team. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm finished. That's good.
Mr. Cub.
They all look happy in these portraits.
Dobie, not so much.
Well,
But, Ernie Banks, let's play too. This is the one. I mean, I had a lot of fun with this. Again, not the best painting, but I really should have done Bernier, who played a year before and was really a great ball player. But again, the logo and it was a fun card to do.
Bob, and you had found original cards for all of these guys, or did I miss that?
No, most of the stuff I got online.
But you did see all of them had cards.
Yes. Well, except for the Hank Thompson Browns.
Okay.
This one was a lot of fun. This is what, a 55 Bowman?
Bowman.
Yep.
No, him.
The weird thing about these at the bottom of the screen where the dials are on the original card, it said color TV, and I debated whether to leave that, but it got a little too on the nose.
What's interesting is how many of the ball players were not great stars. There were so many great Negro leaguers. Many, of course, were sort of past their prime, but some of the you wonder whether a team like St. Louis, which was a southern city, was made sure that the first black that played in the team was not going to be successful. I don't know. Cincinnati's another very southern city.
Yeah.
By the way, the first two Cubans in the big leagues, beside the National Association, Armando Marsans and what was the other guy? Anyway, both made their debut on the same day, the 4th of July, 1911. And it's the line in the paper that when they appeared was, "They are as white as 2 bars of Castilian soap." And they were probably both of mixed race.
Tony did the bio of Nino Escalera for SABR. I read it this morning. It's terrific. He was a hell of a ball player who didn't get much of a chance with the Reds. This, of course, was fun to do because of the logo and the history of the Redlegs in the McCarthy era. I wish I'd done a better job of the black and white face, but it was a fun painting to do. Carlos Paula, another Cuban.
Another Coast Leaguer, played with Vancouver in 1957, I think.
Now, the Elson-Howard was one of the cards that the original on the 59. The face is much different. I think I got this one off the 1960 card and amalgamated the two because I liked his face better on this one. But the 59 card with the logo and the lettering was too much for me to resist. Nelson Howard, of course, Hall of Famer and Hall of Fame, yeah.
No.
No? Sorry. There's a white kid's here to correct me. There's a Fernandez card.
What sort of dates are? I'm
He
sorry.
made the last out in the Polo Grounds.
Oh, no kidding.
That's the other bit of trivia on Ozzie Virgil.
What sort of debut dates are we talking about right now?
I'm sorry.
When did these guys start playing?
Virgil, I think, was 1958.
I think that's right.
So these guys are all in order. Oh, jeez. Sorry. Hang on.
Yeah, I think Phillies, Detroit, and then Boston were the last 3 clubs.
Yeah. Interesting that the last 3 clubs were the northern cities. And also interesting that the Red Sox were the last, but the Braves were the 5th. 8 years earlier. It kind of goes to, Boston had a reputation being a pretty racist town, but clearly the owners of the Braves either were more open-minded or needed to put more seats in the fans because they weren't as reluctant to employ a black man.
I like the stadium in the background there.
Yeah, it was a fun one to do. And there you go.
I assume some of the people in this meeting may have known Pumpsy, who I think, taught school in Oakland for years.
San Leandro, right?
Went to El Cerrito High School.
There you go.
My alma mater.
Very good.
Very good guy, they say.
Seems to me we tried to invite him to some meetings way back, but he really wasn't inclined to talk about this. Does anybody on the call remember that?
No, but I remember his younger brother, Cornell, was a great basketball player and went on to play 12 to 14 years as a defensive back for the Dallas Cowboys.
Huh.
Wow. Very athletic family.
Yes. They were from Richmond and yet attended El Cerrito High. There was an integration program where the kids from Richmond would be bussed up the hill, and that continued on for years.
Marlene, I seem to recall that Lou Perfumo was a pal of Elijah Green's.
That,
And
that might be true. Yeah. Lou, well, Lou knew everybody and
Everybody.
yeah,
everybody he ever met.
he spoke very highly of Elijah.
I don't know, but if Ernie Broglio also
Huh.
may have played with Pumpsy, because Pumpsy, um, they both played at El Cerrito High. Ernie may have been a little bit before Pumpsy, though.
They played at about the same time. They were good friends from high school all the way up, and they died less than 24 hours apart.
Oh man. Wow.
Pumpsy only attended one or two of the PCL reunions at the Oakland Museum. He was invited every year, but the following day, Tommy Muniz would host the California League reunion at his house out in Byron. And Pumpsy and his wife Marie would go all the time, as well as Broglio and quite a few other players out there. Very easy to talk to, but relatively, I don't want to say shy, but his public appearances were often marred by people asking the same question 300,000 times, and he didn't like answering it.
Thank you, Mark.
So this is the Clemente I was talking about. I'd read his book and the battles he had with the sports reporters in Pittsburgh who insisted on calling him Bob, and he was very proud of his heritage. So this is my first political statement in a painting. And then the next one, I had a canvas that was bigger than the rest, and I couldn't figure out what to do with it, so I decided to paint this guy. And I'm thinking now that I finished the 16 original teams, I'm halfway finished a Kamala Harris with the Giants, and then I've got halfway finished the first Indigenous Governor General of Canada and the first Indigenous Premier of Canada. So I got a whole new series to work on.
Got series 9 coming up with Donald Trump and the Black Sox.
It's thinking more of a prison ball club.
Well, Bob, there's a lot of women firsts.
Absolutely.
So maybe that could be
Yeah,
something you
Katani,
could.
well, the Governor General of Canada is a woman, the Indigenous Governor General. So no, absolutely.
We had a woman umpire at Major League game last year,
We
right?
did.
So
Yep, she'll be in there too.
we'll
I guess I
get,
gotta do Em and Ashley.
this group will send you lots of ideas.
I can't wait.
You could do Effa Manley, the first woman
Yes.
inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Nice.
See,
Bob, did you show
no
the
lack of
cards?
ideas.
I gotta be taking notes.
Did you show the cards?
I did.
Card set?
We honored
Okay,
Effa a couple of years ago in an event.
Nice.
Awesome.
Bob, if you have the link to that website, I can't remember exactly what it is. I'd like to drop that in the chat. So
Sure.
people could see a little bit more. The website you could look at all of the paintings and the backs of the cards.
It's just bobkrieger.ca or bobkrieger@weebly.com.
Okay.
Be sure to send it in about a week's time when the recording is up on the SABR website. We'll be sure to include that. There's a couple things that I wanted to point out. As Bob mentioned, I wrote Nino's bio, and he was known as the gentleman of first base because he was a kind person. There's only one documented instance of him getting thrown out of a game. That was in Puerto Rico, and it was because he was playing with the San Juan, and so did Clemente, and Clemente was called out, and Nino was so incensed that he actually charged the umpire and bumped into him. So very nice man. Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to interview him. By the time I began writing the bio, his mind just wasn't there. So I was able to connect to a nephew of his and corroborate a couple of the facts. But very long-standing figure. The other thing that I wanted to mention is, Bob, this might be a good topic for our baseball cards committee too. We can obviously send the recording to them, but they might wish to have you there. Third, most of your cards are the 1953 tops. I want to thank Mark. He connected me with a fellow saber and collector here in Sacramento, and I was able to complete my replica set, not the real set, but the replica set. And those cards are just stunning. They're absolutely stunning. And Topps did a very nice thing when they did the replicas. They actually included players who were not in the original set because of various reasons. And one, of course, is Ted Williams, because he had not signed a contract with Topps, but also some other black players who had been not included in the set for one reason or another. And as has been mentioned, the stories of these players are amazing. I've recently developed an interest in Puerto Rican players who played in the Negro leagues and kind of writing their stories. And in particular, some of them were seen as lighter skinned, some were not. There's a wonderful website, which again we'll include in the meeting, the wrap up email that we'll send later next week, that kind of details some of their stories. And I've been contributing some of quasi bios, I would say. They're not quite as fully fleshed out as Saber bio, but some of the quasi bios there. So
That's a good reminder. You know, This Week in Saber will include lists of recently published bios, and you never know who's going to be there and what you're going to read, or, go to the Saber Bio Project website and browse around. There are some wonderful, wonderful writers in this organization, and the stories are great. Thank you, Tony, for the ones that you've been doing. Really appreciate it. Do we have other bio writers on this call? I think we might. Marshall, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just mentioning, yeah, I'm profiling Steve Physiok for the 2002 Angels book and the bio project. So any of help or advice I can lend, just let me know.
Other questions or comments?
We just had one more story.
Okay.
The Vancouver Mounties had a shortstop in 1965, I believe, or 67. Ozzie Chavarria, Black Panamanian, who was Player of the Year, everybody's favorite. He's living in a assisted living still in just outside of Vancouver, and I went to visit him to invite him to a show that I had. Spent about 45 minutes with him talking about his story. I don't know if any of you read the book Southern League by Larry Colton, about the 1965 Birmingham A's. After the Birmingham, when Major League Baseball mandated that the minor leagues be integrated, Birmingham, with its long tradition, stopped playing professional baseball, so they didn't have to integrate. And Charlie Finley bought a team and brought it back to Birmingham in '65. And Ozzie had been tearing up the Texas League in Dallas.
No, Triple A. That's a Triple A. That was
Sorry.
Dallas was in the 1964. He's in the Pacific Coast League actually that year for some reason.
Yeah, sorry, in '64, and he expected to get called up. And he got a call from Haywood Sullivan saying that he thought was going to be his ticket to the Athletics. And Sullivan said, "We want you to go to Birmingham." And Ozzie said, "No, I am good enough to go to the bigs. I'm not getting sent down to Double A. I'm going back to Panama." Long story short, after 3 phone calls, and one including Charlie Finley, they offered him $2,000
Well, 500. It was $500. It was actually John. Ozzy told me stories. I think so. Right. It was
You
John
go ahead.
McNamara who called him. It was my farm director, and Ozzy hung up because he had actually gone to dinner with Ramon Webster the night before, and Webster said to him, "Ozzy, you're on fire. I know you're going to get the call." And he gets a call from McNamara. He's being sent down to AA, and he said, "I'm quitting." And $500 got him to go back. And the reason they made the move is they brought up Campaneris from Birmingham to go to the A's and filled the spot he left at Birmingham. And Ozzy at 50 points lower in AA than he hit in AAA. And Haywood Sullivan was actually, I don't know how, if you haven't read the Larry Colton book, who specializes on teamwork, and he was, of course, pitched one game for the Phillies in '67. And it's one of the best minor league stories or baseball books I've ever read. If you haven't read it, it's highly recommended. In fact, he's in the Bay Area. I think he may be in Berkeley. He'd be a great guy to have on your. I've got his contact information if anyone wants it.
Please send it, Kit.
I will.
Thanks.
Well, Ozzy told me $2,000, but it could have been inflation from 1965. But I asked him because he played in Florida and Texas, and I asked him if Birmingham was worse than the rest of the South, or was it just the same, being a man of color? And he said Birmingham was the worst. He said everywhere else, he said in Panama, it didn't matter if you were rich or poor. That's what mattered. Your skin color didn't matter. But in Birmingham, you couldn't do anything.
Well, Bull Connor was actually involved in the team. I think Bull Connor did the radio broadcasts.
Oh, wow.
He was, of course, chief of police that was infamous for his treatment of the people crossing the Pettus Bridge.
Jesus.
We got a question from Bill Johnson. Kit, are you going to be doing Cuba Ball tours anymore? Bill,
well, I tried to get a tour in November. I hadn't done one in several years because of COVID. Bob and I went back together, I guess in 2023, 2022, and found the situation much deteriorated. I had a large number of people, including Larry Durker, was interested in going. And then there was an outbreak of dengue fever and something called chikungunya, diseases which for septuagenarians and octogenarians that tend to be on the trip wasn't very promising. So I canceled it, and I think I'm worried Cuba won't be around as it is. I mean, everything is falling apart. I think it's being choked by the blockade that prevents oil from coming in. So I think Cuba Ball, unfortunately, is over. I made 20-something trips. In fact, tomorrow is the 25th anniversary of the end of the first trip, and I'm holding a reunion call for several hundred alumni. I'm not sure how many will show up, but very sad. It was a remarkable experience to see what I call a parallel baseball universe. Mark was on Mark, you came on 2, I think.
Yeah, actually, I came on 3, Kit, 10, 11, and 12.
And it's everyone who's been on the trip, no credit to me because I just got them there. It's the greatest baseball experience, maybe travel experience that most people have ever had.
It was amazing. Bill, did you know about the reunion tomorrow? Are you joining us?
You're on mute, Bill.
I'm trying to unmute you.
There you go.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, I did not know about it, but I wanted to mention something that Bob said when I was on the trip that has stayed with me forever. We went to lunch or dinner one time at what was supposedly a Cuban-style resort, and it was buffet style. And from the back of the room, I hear somebody say, "And the bad news is it's all you can eat."
I'm sorry, Bill. You were on the one trip I didn't make.
I'm going to find the email and send it.
Yeah, send Bill the link, and then it'll be on its way. I'm sorry I missed you all, but I'm missing some of the names of several tours, and that including the one that I didn't go on.
Oh, this is Kit I'm talking to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were on it because we were on the bus, and like every other day you would mention have I mentioned that I played in the minor leagues? And we go like, yeah.
Come on, I never said that.
Yeah. And we were riding along one day and you saw this big sign for a crocodile farm and said, who wants to go to the crocodile farm? And we all go, oh yeah.
I remember that. That's a trip east. I remember that. Very good.
Yeah, that was a great trip. I loved it.
Well, maybe we can have a Cuba Ball reunion saber meeting at some point. We've done one in the past, but maybe we should think about doing something else. And anyone who wants to see wonderful pictures and hear great stories about baseball in Cuba would be more than welcome to attend.
I
It's
would love to listen to that.
dire. The situation is dire there. And
Yeah, I would.
go ahead, Tony.
Sorry, I was going to say I would love to listen to that. I'm half Cuban. My mom was born in Havana. She left. They were 7, but my grandparents are still alive. I actually just saw them about a month and a half ago, and you know the wound is still fresh. But yes, the situation is dire, and hopefully there will be a good resolution to that.
Right.
So
Bill, check your email, okay? Well,
mm,
thank you, Kit and Bob. I've been wanting to share this art with the chapters plural for quite a while, and so I'm glad we did it. I think you've sold a couple of the paintings already, right?
I have 3.
Are
Yeah.
they all available, or are they any of them you're keeping for yourself?
No, they're all available.
And the website, your website would have them more information about them if anyone collects, correct?
It does. Yes.
And what about are the baseball cards available?
The cards are available for $42 a set. And I can get prints, lovely prints of any painting you want for 300 and what was Jackie? $313. Jackie's lifetime batting average.
Nice. Tell me that website and I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. You can either go to bobkrieger.ca,
Okay.
BOBKRIEGER, or bobkrieger@weebly.com.
Take a look at it and make sure I've done them right in the chat.
That looks good to me.
Okay, good.
Oh, no, sorry, KRIEGER.
Uh-oh.
IV4E.
Oh, that's the first one was right.
There you go. Well, thank you for the invitation. This is, I hope I didn't
Well,
disappoint too much.
I always appreciate seeing, we don't look at art as much. There is an arts special interest group in Sabre, but we don't really spend a lot of time with the other arts in baseball. So this was fun.
Appreciate it.
Thank you again. Is that a plate of kits over there? Todd, you were going to send something to Tony, a flyer about. Oh, okay. Okay, he there's a link to information about the Negro League Classic game, and we have Tony. Do you are Todd or who else is here? I can't see. That's going to speak with you. Are Matt and Quinn here?
Quinn coaches at Jesuit, and Jesuit is putting on a little tournament today, so he
Oh,
can't
okay.
make it.
And Tony, would you like to do the honors with this one?
yeah, absolutely. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So I had the opportunity to attend both last year's game as well as an event the day prior, a fundraiser for the cause. And I must say I'm amazed at the work that Todd and his peers have done. I'm also flabbergasted that I just was unaware being in Sacramento for the prior years in which this occurred. I put a couple of links there. One is the Sacramento Bee's article of last year's game, and another one is the website that talks about the promotion of what's coming later this year. It's hard to put into words the impact, of course, of the Negro Leagues and the Negro Leaguers, and particularly those who did not make it to the quote major leagues, end quote. Use quotes because obviously a lot of the Negro Leaguers have been recognized now, rightfully as such. But there were many who either did not get the chance to play with the then 16 franchises, or quite honestly, played after the integration, and therefore they were not really considered in the same light as some of the other players. And when you when you know the story, and even as Bob was mentioned earlier today, right, there are some teams that had quotas, official or unofficial. I'm a Red Sox fan, and I'm flabbergasted and very saddened that a franchise was the last one to integrate. So, and their stories deserve telling, and the connection that Todd does to the younger generation, the younger baseball loving Black players coming up through high school and so on is astounding. So with that, I'll pass it over to you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate everybody here today and the invite. And it was a pleasure meeting the SABR group at the LaSalle Sacramento Baseball Hall of Fame. I first actually met the SABR group when I did the very first event back in 2008, where we honored Elmer Carter. He was Satchel Paige's catcher. He lived right here in Sacramento. He passed away 2 days before his 100th birthday. So it was very important to me once I met Elmer Carter that his story was told. And that was way back in 2008. And we held it at Sac State. It was a very, very small event. I ran the whole thing all by myself, but I just needed to make sure that Elmer got his flowers. And unfortunately, right after that event, that's when Elmer passed away. So it's something that I've done for him to make sure that his name and everything that he represented stayed alive. I had Access Sacramento cable show called the Sacramento Dugout, which was basically because us here in Sacramento feel that the majority of the players in Major League Baseball come right here from Sacramento, California. We have a major hub of professional ball players and a very large knit community. So they all come on my show. We talk about their experiences and all that. And just to make sure everybody that gave to baseball was a part of baseball in the community, we're able to connect, just like what the SABR group does. And kind of slipped away from that. I started my own business. I'm a jeweler by trade, so I started getting into that. And the two boys that I started this with, Dominic and Dante Morris, they both got married, had kids, and they went on their separate ways. So all our shows and the stuff that we did kind of went to the wayside. And sort of like with Bob, when COVID hit, and just before COVID, with Breonna Taylor's murder and George Floyd's murder, and me being with my friends of black and brown color, they've gone through things that I'll never experience, and they don't talk about it. They're very humble people, but once Breonna Taylor and George Floyd happened for the first time, I heard them talk with major frustration. And then to have all the social unrest and all the black-owned businesses here in Sacramento get destroyed, and the blacks were being blamed for causing all that destruction. I just went, this is absolutely enough is enough. What can I do to help support all these black-owned businesses? And the only thing I can think of is baseball. And so I reached out to Bob Kendrick at the Negro League Baseball Museum to see if I can have his blessings on using his name and part of the stuff that he represents. And he was like, Todd, anything you need. Because Bob was one of my first guests on the show. I've known Bob for over 20 years. And so I started reaching out to all the Sacramento greats, Dusty Baker, Leron Lee, Don Porter, Greg Vaughn, the list, Derek Lee, the list just goes on and on. And they were like, Todd, if you put this together, anything you want, anything you need, we'll be a part of it. So I reached out to Tony Osoro at the River Cats, and then he shortly passed away right after I got in contact with the River Cats. And we put on our first event, and it was at Rayleigh Field. It was a phenomenal event. We raised over $25,000.
Wow.
Part of the proceeds went to the yesterday's Negro League Baseball Foundation, which is run by Dennis Biddle, who played for the Chicago American Giants. Some of the money went to Bob Kendrick and the Negro League Baseball Museum, and the rest of the money went to all the black-owned businesses where their storefronts were damaged and destroyed. Um, that game, I was trying to figure out, who should I do? What should I do? And I go, well, there's lots of teams I would love to use, but not very many people know those teams. The only teams they really know when it comes to the Negro Leagues are the Monarchs and the Homestead Grays. Those tend to seem to be the two names that were very popular. So I reached out to my high school buddy, Greg Vaughn, because I knew Greg has two sons that have played professional sports. And I thought, what better to have Greg and both his sons represent the Kansas City Monarchs to where we have two generations coaching in the dugouts with all these talented black and brown athletes from California and Oregon. And then I asked Jerry Manuel, um, and Jerry Manuel's son, Anthony, and his son Jerry Jr. I said, what better way? We got two huge families right here in Sacramento. I would love to have both you gentlemen represent these teams and teach these young men all about the past. And I want to start doing this every year. And Jerry Manuel said, Todd, we're going to do this, but there's only one problem. And I instantly went, problem? He goes, I'm not going to coach the Homestead Grays. He goes, I'm going to coach the Atlanta Black Crackers because my father and grandfather played on those teams. And I go, Jerry, you've been on my TV show more than anybody. How come you never told me this? Why didn't we talk about it? And it's just something that they're very proud and humble about. They really don't fight for what they've done and what they did. So the first year was unbelievable. We had the Atlanta Black Crackers, the Kansas City Monarch, coached by two very well respected names here in Sacramento. And after the game, I had people like Quinn come up to me because I did everything all by myself. I've upfronted all the money. It was all out of my own pocket expense. Rayleigh Field charged me $3,500 to use the field. They also charged me to use concessions. So there was a huge cost, but I didn't care because I felt this word needed to go out. And then after the game, Quinn said he wanted to help. I got lots of phone calls and messages about what can we do to help? What can we do to help? And so I got a good group of about 5 people, the Leon Lees, Greg Vaughn, they're on my board of directors. Quinn, we have a real good group. And ever since every year we've been doing this game, this year is going to be my 6th year of doing this game. Um, and I wanted to make it very special. So this year, what we're doing is we're going to honor Ed Bolden and Rube Foster. Ed Bolden is, the creator, the president of the ECL, the Eastern Colored League. He had the Hilldale Club, which eventually became the Hilldale Giants. And then, of course, Rube Foster of the NNL, the National Negro League. He created and started the Kansas City Monarchs and the Negro Leagues. So that was the very first World Series was with the Hilldale Club and the Monarchs. So those are the two teams we are going to be doing this year. Um, in years past, we've done teams like, you guys were talking about Effa Manley. I coached a girl since she was 8 years old. She refuses to play softball. She's one of the best pitchers in Sacramento statistically. She might only top out at 72 miles per hour, but as a pitcher myself and a pitching coach, I always tell my kids, to me, velocity doesn't mean anything. Deception will get you where you want to be. And I also, told Laney that you'll never be as strong as the boys, but you'll be smarter than the boys. So if you can learn how to do what we need to do to get out, you will flourish. And lo and behold, this year, she graduated last year in 2025. She got a scholarship for Emerson University in Boston, Massachusetts. She is playing on the boys' D3 baseball team. She was the first starter of their first game, and she got her first W last week. So we honored Effa and her a couple of years ago. This year, with the Hilldale group coming on, I knew I needed to get somebody with fire and spark. So I reached out to Ron Papa Jack Jackson in Florida, and he agreed. So Ron Papa Jack Jackson, he will be flying out. He will be coaching with Shooty Babbitt from the Oakland A's and Leon Lee. So you'll have Leon Lee, Ron Jackson, and Shooty Babbitt coaching the Hilldale Giants. And then for the Kansas City Monarchs, we're going to have Alvin Davis, who right now is currently coaching with the Seattle Mariners, and his brother, Bill Davis, who is a scout in Major League Baseball, and then Burl Dixon, who plays for the Kansas City Royals minor league team, who is right here from Sacramento. He's going to be the bench coach, basically, because I'm sure you guys have been in meetings like this and been around these guys, and they love to talk. They love to tell their stories. It is so much fun and hilarious to hear these guys talk. But unfortunately, I learned the first year that all that talking and fun was going on and the kids weren't being coached. So I always made sure that I brought a young professional baseball player in to be the bench coach to make sure the battery is being operated properly. The lineups, people are getting their at bats. People are being able to get on the field. So we have two young kids in there actually coaching the game like professionals, but we do have all the veterans in there telling the kids their stories and being able to watch the kids do what they do. And every year, Dennis Biddle from the Chicago American Giants, like I said, and Don Porter from the New York Black Yankees. He comes out every year. He also played with the Clowns. Dusty Baker, he comes out every year. The day before every game, we have a meet and greet. So all the players, all the coaches, all the participants, we all show up at the bakery, Dusty Baker's Family Wines. So we use the Family Wines place to put on this event. The event attracts a lot of people, and it's real nice to see young kids come to this event to where they finally get to learn what started this baseball history and what I consider the true Americans' pastime.
What's the date, Todd?
The date on the game is September 20th. The game starts at 1 p.m. and it goes to about 5 o'clock. In between every half inning, we tell the story of the two teams. So up on the big screen will be anywhere from 30 to 45-second clips of players talking, telling the story of the two teams, how the two teams get affiliated. So even during the game, in between the game, the fans are being educated. So it's not just lack of time and music being played. We are continually either having somebody talk during that time, showing a video, or putting stats up, and making sure people understand the importance of what happened in the Negro Leagues.
When's the event at Dusty's Winery?
That's September 19th. We don't have a time yet.
Okay.
but we should be getting that soon. We have another board meeting coming up, and we'll get that locked in, and I'll let everybody know.
Okay.
Do you have a website with information, Todd?
Well, the thing is like I said, I've been doing this all by myself.
Oh, okay.
So this year, I just started my own 501(c)(3. We're going to be called Roots and Rising Stars Foundation. I have a meeting to Monday with a bank so I can get that started. Once I get the bank opened, because I just finally got official with the government shutdown and stuff that postponed a lot of what I was trying to do. Now that I'm official, I'm going to be getting my bank. Once I get the bank, I can start sending out advertising, getting funding,
Great.
getting my website, and getting all that stuff up and going. Um, I do have on Facebook, it's called the Honorary Negro Leagues. It's my Facebook page that just talks about what we do and covers this event.
Papa Jack will be out for it.
Yes, he will.
Awesome. He was a former client of mine. Great guy.
Yeah, he is.
He
He is
is.
fun to talk to.
Oh, he's awesome.
You get
I,
him and Shooty Babbitt together. Look out.
yeah.
Oh
Oh,
my
that'll
God.
be fantastic.
Yeah. And the second year we did it, just to let people, know, and I'm sure they already do because I'm seeing who's on the panel and stuff. But the second year we actually did the Homestead Grays and the Chicago American Giants. So we had the whole Lee family coach one team. So we had Leron Lee, Leon Lee, and Derek Lee.
Yeah.
And then the other family, we had the Roysters. So you have Jerry Royster, Danny Royster, and Danny Jr. who all played. So those names are huge here in Sacramento. Since that event, Jerry Royster has hopped on board. He's now a partner of mine in this event. So we're really starting to take off. And with Dusty's support, the Royster support, the Lee support, and especially with Bob Kendrick, I'm really excited about our future.
That's
Um,
fantastic. That's a Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday.
And
Awesome.
is the game at Sac State?
The game is at Sac State. Yeah. Hopefully, this meeting that I had with the River Cats last week. They said once the A's leave, starting 2028, they want to partner with me and start having the game annually at Sutter Health Park.
Wow, that's big.
Yeah. They also asked me to help with Jackie Robinson days on an annual basis and also to help with Juneteenth on an annual basis. So I'll be partnering with the River Cats once the A's head for Las Vegas.
Guess you have a new job.
Yes.
Well, and if you need championship rings for anything, we know where to go.
Yes.
This is
Yeah,
great.
I retired after 41 years of jewelry. I retired and shut down my shop to concentrate on my 501(c)(3. But for the last 2 years, I've been training my son, so he's taken over. So we can have him make it.
When the foundation is up and running and things are in place, please do let us know. I mean,
Absolutely.
I have best intentions to keep an eye out and share that information, but you know how things go.
Yes.
So it would be great to get the information out. Tony, between the two of us, we can get more information out. Maybe we can even plan a Saber meeting at the game or something. How big is that ballpark?
The ballpark, they say, sits 2,200 people. There is a student parking lot in left field.
Mhm.
So unfortunately, the people that don't want to pay, there seems to be a lot of people on the parking lot roof watching the game. The last year we probably had right around 300 people. The year
Okay.
before that was our smallest. It was about 200. The first year at Rayleigh Field, we had 17,000, and then the first year
Wow.
at Sac State we had 40. We had 20, I think it was 2,200, and we had to refuse people to come in because we were at maximum occupancy. But ever since then, it's been going down. We don't know why. We we thought because we scheduled it around. We have your fall classics, which is in Arizona and also in Florida. And a lot of the Sacramento players are invited to these showcases. So we had a date. We used to do it in the first week of October because those games were, you know, in late October. So we thought if we got the kids before it, they can be seen just before they go to these big showcases. And then all of a sudden, there's one of the largest rock and roll festivals that started in Sacramento
Oh,
3 or 4 years ago, called Hypershock or something like that. And they put the date, their weekend date, on the same date as my event. And hotels in our area that were anywhere from 35 to $65 all of a sudden went up to 500 and something dollars a night because of Aftershock being there. So we changed the date to September to get away from Aftershock. And the year after we changed to September, the Fall Classic and the Cactus League, they changed their date to the same weekend as our game, and we lost about 16 players. So we're trying to we're going to keep this weekend's date, I mean this year's date, but we're trying to work with Florida and Arizona to see, are their dates going to be concurrent? Is it going to be annually because of what we do? Because you guys are taking our very good players away from us because they're thinking your event is more important than our event. At our event, the kids, we keep telling the kids every year we get anywhere from 10 to 15 Major League Baseball scouts out. We also get over 20 to 25 collegiate scouts out every year. In the 5 years that we've done this, there's been at least one player that has received a baseball scholarship to D1, and at least one player that has been invited to MLB Develops. I don't know if you know what that program is, but it's an urban program run by um, you got Lou Coyer, you have Marquise Grissom, you have Jerry Manuel. I mean, most of all the Atlanta Braves players put this together, and it's run through Major League Baseball. And we're trying, and they enjoy what we do, so they're starting to get on board with us. So as long as we can get these kids recognized, get them scholarships, and get them to places like MLB Develops where they can continually be around coaches that look like them and have played the sport professionally, anything to benefit these guys is my passion and desire.
I have more questions. First of all, is there any shade at the stadium?
For the VIPs, we put up some tents, and if you can get close to the VIPs, you can be in shade. But most people we ask them to just bring the large umbrellas, not the pop-ups.
Okay.
But you can bring in the large umbrella.
And these are high school and college kids?
No, just high school kids,
Just high school.
freshmen to seniors,
And
because the collegiate guys technically can't talk to freshmen and sophomores anymore. Now that the name, image, and likeness rule came into effect, they can only talk to juniors and seniors. So that makes it real hard. So when the scouts come, we have two different lists. We have freshman and sophomore names, schools, all their vital information, and then we have the juniors and seniors. So that way, no coach or scout is causing problems for their campus. There's no recruiting violations going on.
and you mentioned a young woman, Lainey. She played in the game?
Lainey Fukuoka. She every pitcher only gets one inning. She was the only pitcher that nobody got a hit on. She faced three batters, struck two out, and got a ground ball.
Wow.
She ended up being the MVP of that game. Um, once people saw her, somebody from Japan reached out to her because her father and her father's side of the family are Japanese natives from Japan. She is now playing for the women's Japan national team. So in the summer, she travels with the women's national Japan team, and in the spring, she's playing for Emerson University.
Do you anticipate any young women on the teams this year?
We are trying to get more women out here. I am currently coaching two girls that are in the 8th grade So hopefully next year they will be playing. Um, but right now, no, there's not very many girls. It really seems like a lot of people, once the girls start getting in the seventh and eighth grade, they start telling them, you can't play baseball, you better start playing softball or you're never going to learn the game.
Yeah.
And I tell them it's the same game. Softball is exactly the same, but it's played faster because the field's smaller. Um, she knows the game probably better than anyone. And for her to represent Effa Manley was just, I mean, the
Yeah.
whole game was just giving me chills when, she struck out a D1 commit that went to Arizona. And I yelled and screamed so loud, I actually scared some of the people in the stands. And they go, "What the heck do you do that for?" And I go, "That 12th grader just struck out a D1 commit to Arizona who's ranked nationally. He is 17th. He's ranked 17th nationally. And that girl just struck him out. That's why I'm excited."
It's contagious.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
infectious.
Yeah.
Todd, is there a website that we can keep track of or a list we can get on to make sure that we're reminded or told of the times for the
There
get
will be,
together on the 19th?
if you, right now it's only, I'm in the process of getting that website, everything going. I want it to look perfect. There's a certain nostalgic look that I'm going for. And now that I'm just official, I'm spending all my time doing this. But for right now on Facebook, it's the Honorary Negro League game. That's what the Facebook page is called. We post all our information on that page. And as soon as my website is up, we are going to notify people through that Facebook page, as well as I'll get a hold of Tony, I'll get a hold of everybody. I'm sure I'll be doing a lot more meetings, and I'm going to be very prevalent on making sure all that happens.
Good, good. Okay. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
What's the Facebook? What's
The
the
face
Facebook?
the Facebook page is Honorary Negro League Game. I don't know if the phone will show up, but
Got
it
it.
kind of
Got
looks
it.
like that.
Gotcha. It came up right before Sacramento area baseball,
There we go.
which we'll be talking more about next month. This has been a wonderful program. I've certainly enjoyed both presentations. I can't see hands. Let me see. Do we have other questions, comments? Well, I think if no one has any more questions or comments, we can we'll wrap this meeting up a little bit early today. I was thinking about trying to invite a third guest, but I didn't want us to run out of time. Or we could talk about what's happening in baseball. You know, anybody have comments about the Giants' new manager? Some of the stuff I've read recently hasn't been too great, but
I think with the Angels coach that they brought over, the collegiate coach will probably be just fine. With Mr. Washington coming over, I think it, that's where the coaching's really going to come from.
yeah, there was a couple of great articles about Ron Washington in the papers recently. We really loved him when he was an A's coach.
Yes.
Anybody have comments about what's going on with the athletics?
Yeah.
I know it's still hard. It's still hard.
I'm excited about that young nucleus of talent that they have at every position offensively. If they can just get some decent pitching out of Savali and um, the other starters that they currently have, I'm excited about them. The possibility of them making the playoffs is real. Jacob Wilson, Nick
Yeah,
Kurtz,
yeah,
Denzel Clark, Lawrence Butler.
yeah,
The list goes on, and they added the kid from, well, the veteran from the Mets at second base, Jeff McNeil. Um, Shea Langoliers,
Yeah.
they're a good team.
Tyler Soderstrom.
Tyler
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Soderstrom, exactly.
Well, and they spent a little
They'll
bit
be
of money.
exciting to watch.
They spent a little bit of money on giving these guys at least some money on contracts, which is something the A's haven't done in eons.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I think it's funny is I got to see a lot of these guys who are now wearing the A's uniforms down in Stockton when we first brought them in. And bringing in Jeff McNeil, they've now created a log jam because you've got Zach Geloff, Max
Exactly.
Muncy, Jacob Wilson, and Jeff McNeil all trying to play the same position. And then out in the outfield, you got Denzel Clark, uh, you know, Tyler Soderstrom.
And
Uh,
Butler. And
Well,
Butler.
Rooker will be the DH, so
Yeah.
that'll work out.
Yeah,
Butler
Rooker's going
is
to
right.
DH. But you also
Yeah.
got Cody Thomas. You know, I wish I actually I have his Caballos uniform. I bought it at auction when he was in Stockton, specifically because of him. It's the only jersey I've ever bought that I actually cannot wear because it's too small for me. But you know, in Stockton, it was clear he was going to be a major league talent. You know, so basically leaving Brent Rooker as a DH, they've got four outfielders to play three spots. They've got four infielders to play anything other than first base. Of course, if Nick needs a day off, you can have Soderstrom come over. When the Rule 5 draft happened and Daniel Susick got, selected by the Reds and then traded to the Giants, I'm like, how could you let? And it's like, oh yeah, we've got other. There was a point where they had like five catching prospects, so I understand why they just sort of went, okay, we're gonna let Susick go. There's
More Sacramento talent.
yeah. It's
They're
just
they're loaded.
it's going to be interesting to
Daryl
see.
Hernandez at third as well.
Yeah, there's a fifth name.
And
The one thing is they need to develop. All those big names they traded before. They brought in a lot of pitching, and a lot of it is sitting there right on the cusp. It's going to be interesting to see how many of those guys finally come up from Vegas to the A's to start, seeing if Gunnar Hoagland. I'm sorry, I don't have my rosters in front of me right now, but there's been a lot of JT Ginn, a lot of guys they were brought in here, and then there's the big trade last year where they when they sent out Mason Miller and they got Leo DeBreeze.
exactly.
Who, if he comes zipping along, he's gonna make that infield situation even tighter. Expect Jacob Wilson is great, but I watched Leo DeBreeze that when he was with Lake Elsinore at that time with San Diego, and Jacob is good. Leo DeVries is just he's a better fielder. It'll just be
Johnny
interesting to see how
Doskow says he's the real deal
yeah, he is.
because I said trade him, get some starting pitching. He says no, 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 no. He's the real deal. And I said, where are you going to put him? You got Jacob Wilson at short, and he says move him to second. Move Jacob Wilson to second. That's what Johnny Doskow said.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, basically it
So
sounds
no,
like Zach Geloff is going to be the first one that's out the door because there just isn't room.
well, injuries. He can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
But no, they're exciting. I'm going to go 3 or 4 times up to catch as many games as I can, Marlene.
Good. I still have, it still feels hard for me to go to Sacramento to see the A's, so I don't know if I'll be there, but I sure will watch them.
Yeah, no, their first game is today. It's on right now.
Is it on MLB?
Yeah, MLB TV. It's the White Sox broadcast, but you can watch it, anytime.
It's on the MLB station, right?
It will be later, I think, on MLB.
Yeah, I don't
Network.
stream it right now anymore. So
At like 3 o'clock in the morning or something. You can set the DVR for it. But if you have MLB.TV through the computer, I just slide it up to the big screen and watch it like regular TV.
sounds like a plan. I watched
It's 150
Seattle
for the
yesterday.
year. Any game that's broadcast.
And now you can get your in-market games, right? There's an in-market game package.
Um, out of market is or in market is still blacked out on MLB.TV.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought
Um,
somebody last year was streaming in-market games, but
Yeah.
I'll have to take a look at that.
Well, we have NBC Sportsnet or whatever it is. They've got the A's and
Right.
the Giants still. So
right.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeffrey. I'm enjoying these posts over here. Well, this was interesting and for me a very nice way to wrap it up. I want to thank all of you for attending. I'm going to stop the recording now, I think.